4 years. All right. I've been in the treatment field for the last 4 years. I am also a recovering addict myself. I just celebrated 5 years clean in December. So this particular topic and field holds dear to my heart, which is why I got into this field to begin with. So a couple of things we're going to be talking about is drugs and everything, all the drugs that are being abused currently by the teenage community as of late. So the first one is going to be prescription pills, which are opioids, benzos, and muscle relaxers. Unfortunately, that's a big thing for these kids nowadays. And, you know, they're in almost every medicine cabinet at every home, or at their grandparents' home, or very accessible, especially if anybody's had an injury or a surgery of some sort. These pills are very accessible. And then we have over-the-counter medication, which is what OTC stands for, over-the-counter medications, such as Benadryl, NyQuil, cough syrup, what we call triple C's, Delsum, Robitussin, cough medications such as those. And the main ingredient in those are, right here it says dextromethorphan. That's or DXM as the kids call it. That's the main ingredient in all of these over-the-counter medications, which when ingested, which could either be drank or taken in a pill form, give you like a drunk, loopy kind of a high, and it doesn't last that long. And the come down is horrible. A lot of kids experience and have stated that they get more depressed, higher level of suicidal ideation, sometimes homicidal ideations. So it's a very dangerous drug. And then we have inhalants, which would consist of whippets, NOS, which is a gas usually used in cars to make the car go faster, and aerosols, hand sanitizers, believe it or not, are very, very, very widely used as well and abused. And then we have the street drugs, which are the heroin, meth, cocaine, ecstasy, Molly, and then hallucinations such as acid, magic mushrooms, and DMT. So those are the wide variety of drugs right now. So go ahead, Christian. So we'll start with the most dangerous, right? Fentanyl. I don't know if anybody is aware of fentanyl, has heard of fentanyl, or knows of fentanyl, but right now in 2022 and the ending of 2021, we are in the highest overdose rate we've ever been in the United States of America, because of the fentanyl, and because all the drug cartels and all the manufacturers of these illegal drugs are cutting the drug with fentanyl to increase product, so that they can make more money, not caring about who they are hurting or these kids are dying from. So the first little vial in this picture is heroin. The amount shown is a lethal amount able to kill an average adult. And then the middle vial is the lethal amount shown that can kill an average adult. And the new one right now is carfentanil, which is a synthetic of the synthetic. And that little grain down there is the lethal amount that can kill an average adult. So these synthetic opioids are very dangerous. What they're doing also is they're lacing what we call pressies or pressed pills, which are fake Xanax, Oxycontins, Percocets, Vicodins, any of those, with fentanyl that's killing our kids right now. It's very huge, and it is stronger, so it's cheaper to use. And like I said, they use it to cut the product so that they can put more out on the street with less of the actual product. So it's very dangerous. We need to be very aware of that. Go ahead. Cannabis THC right now is huge as well, ever since marijuana became legal. So there's cannabis THC marijuana weed, which is called. You have the vape pens, you have the flowers, the edibles, the dabs. You even have CBD products that do contain THC, and then there's some that don't contain THC, but they're also made in like a lotion form. So that's also something to look out for. Go ahead, Christian. All right, so this page is basically showing you different types of products and what to look out for. Now, I know vaping is like the biggest thing right now with these kids, even if it's just vaping nicotine, very, very dangerous with all the metals and poisons that are going on in these little devices. But a good way to determine whether or not the vape that these kids are using actually have marijuana in them are these little logos that you see here over here on the left. Excuse me. Because California is legal now and it's governed by the government in the state of California, anything containing marijuana has to have these logos on them to dictate that they are THC and have cannabis in them. So you will see these types of logos on any product that does contain THC. So if your kid is vaping or you happen to catch your kid with a vape, definitely you want to look on it to make sure that if it has this logo on it or not. If it does, then the vape that they are using does contain marijuana, because I know a lot of the kids will get caught and say, well, no, it's just nicotine. And some parents believe it, some don't, but look out for that logo and you will definitely see if it contains marijuana or not. Now on the right-hand side here, these are different products that the kids can buy, excuse me, off the black market. There's a huge black market, which is another thing that we need to look out for as parents. We need to be very diligent and vigilant in looking and checking your kids' phones. Snapchat is the biggest platform right now for these kids to be purchasing and talking about stuff like this, because when you message in Snapchat, the messages go away, so there's really no way to trace it. So you got to be vigilant about that. But anyway, so there's these products here, right? We have nicotine carts right there in the top right-hand corner. You'll see where it says brass knuckles. That's a vape cart that can be added to a vape battery down in the left-hand corner. The second device from the left, that one right there, you'll see that you can add that THC wax cartridge to that battery. So it's very important that we keep an eye on that as well. Like I said, down there in that same row are different devices that the kids are using to smoke nicotine. One that isn't shown on here are now what they call like puff bars or the disposable ones. Those are really huge as well. And then down in the bottom right-hand corner, you have paraphernalia, if you will, right? A lot of these kids use these tobacco, later, Terrell, these tobacco cigars to use so they can smoke what they call blunts. What they'll do is they'll remove the inside of the cigar, cut it down the middle, remove the tobacco and add the marijuana in it, re-roll it, seal it, and smoke it. And those are called blunts. Now, another thing that that the manufacturers are doing now to appeal to these kids are the flavors, making it look like they're candy. There's gummies, there's all kinds of things now that the kids can eat, chewies, and they make them look like they're candy, right? With the flavors such as the one Christian is circling, green apple. Exotic carts look like fruit punch. They all just they appeal to the kids, so that's what they're doing now to get that business. Now, also in the top right-hand corner, you have a liquid form, right, which you can put into soda and stuff like that, so that the kids can get high off that, which they're calling lean or syrup. If they don't use that, they will use actual promethazine cough syrup, and it's very dangerous as well. And then down in the right-hand corner, that little round circle thing is called a grinder. So if you want to look out for that, that's what the kids use to break up the marijuana to make it real thin and able to put in the cigars and stuff like that. So that's what these are. Oh, and then right there where Christian is circling, those are the whippets. So good night, have a good one, we'll see you later. Those are what whippets that the kids can be using to inhale. They sell these little devices. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with those or have seen those before, but those are the CO2 canisters that are usually used in whipped cream devices. Like if you go to Starbucks or you go to like the Cheesecake Factory, they have these devices with where the whipped cream will come out because they make their own whipped cream. That's the CO2 canister used to be able to have the whipped cream come out of the little device. And actually, these kids are actually using that to get high. So one whip it, they can pop it, put it in a balloon, and they'll inhale it through a balloon. And it's very dangerous, man. These inhalants can kill your brain cells faster than marijuana and any other type of drug, because it goes directly to the brain and it freezes the brain cells. So it's very dangerous. So that's another thing we want to look out for. Go ahead, Christian. So these are the what we want to talk about are prescription medications, right? The major ones are these opioid painkillers, which are the strongest ones, which are Vicodin, Norco, Percocet, Oxycontin, codeine, Tylenol 3s with codeine. Any of those pills taken in excess, obviously, will get you high and are very dangerous. And then we have the benzodiazepines, or benzos for short, which are huge as well, which are the Xanax, Valium, Ativan, Klonopin, and alprazolam. Very dangerous. Again, taken in excess can cause an overdose, can put you in a coma, could definitely put you in a vegetable state if taken too many. And these are the pills that a lot of people are lacing with fentanyl. A lot of rappers, if your kids are into rap music, a lot of these rappers have died from fentanyl-laced pills, such as Mac Miller, Little Peep. A couple actors just recently have died because of fentanyl-laced cocaine. So it's very dangerous. And then we have the ADHD medications, such as Adderall or Vyvanse, which are actually an amphetamine or stimulant, and if taken in excess, can give you the effect of methamphetamine or cocaine, give you that rush. And for most kids who don't have ADHD and take Adderall, it gives them that rush, like if they were doing methamphetamines. And then, of course, sleeping meds, over-the-counter sleeping meds such as Tylenol PMs, Advil PMs, can definitely be abused if you take anything over the prescribed amount. Let's say 4 or 8 or 10 of those, they will give you a drunk feeling, and it's just very dangerous as well. And then, of course, the muscle relaxers, somas are a big one as well. Now, if for any reason you search your kid's room, their dressers, their backpacks, whatever, and you find a pill in there that you know for a fact they don't take, you can go to this website, which is called, I forgot what the website's called. Where to go? Oh, drugs.com. There you go. Sorry, I wasn't seeing that. And you can type in the toolbar right here in the search bar the type of pill that you found, whether it's a white oval pill with the letters whatever on the front and the back. If you type that in there, it'll tell you exactly what the pill is, so that you know what the pill consists of if you find those on your child's person. So you can always use that website to navigate and find out what pills the kids have, because I know kids here at my facility, the ones that I have caught before, try to lie about what they are, or I'm holding them for a friend, or whatever the case is. So we want to be very vigilant on checking your kids' belongings and stuff like that, because these kids are getting too smart for their own good, and unfortunately, it's being praised in the industry, in the society right now, with drugs and the music, the videos. Most of these kids listen to these rappers who glorify the stuff, and it's really not the business. So there we go. So these are what some of the pills look like. In the top left-hand corner, the big pills, those white ones are called Xanax. Those are what Xanax pills look like. They're in that form. The little blue ones over there are a different form of Adderall. And then you have the Tylenol 3s down here, which are the codeines, Adderall. I think this white one over here to the right that says M367 is Vicodin. And then you have the Oxycontins at the top, which are the strongest form of these pills and opioids. So if you find any of these pills or anything that, like I said, doesn't resemble any medication that your child is taking, I would definitely look into that website, type in the information, and it'll tell you exactly what the pill is. So we always want to be vigilant on that. All right, so here we go with the over-the-counter medications, as I had stated. So these are called DXM, which is the dextromethorphan, which is the main ingredient in all this cough syrup, such as the Robitussin, the Delsum, NyQuil, Theraflus even can be used, Tylenol cold. Any of these can be used as something to get high with if taken in excess. So right here next to that picture, that purple looking fluid is what the kids are using. That's what's called syrup. It's called lean. The kids will pour that into a Sprite bottle. Usually Sprite is the go-to soda to mix the syrup in because it gives it a distinctive flavor. And it's usually a purple liquid. So that's something you want to look out for. Benadryls can also be taken in excess and get you a high feeling if taken too many. I know a couple of my kids here in my facility have taken too many and had to be rushed to the emergency room to get their stomachs pumped and have overdosed on Benadryl. As stated before, sleeping meds, anything over the counter like Tylenol PMs, Advil PMs, can be abused and give you that drunk-like feeling. And then, of course, the pills over here to the right, such as the Robitussin, are called the triple Cs that they call them. That's definitely something that we want to look out for because the main effect that they're looking for is that drowsiness, drunk feeling, and they will definitely take all of that to get that feeling. So we always, again, want to be vigilant in our medicine cabinets. If for some reason you have NyQuil, you have anything of that nature laying around, just be vigilant about looking at it, making sure that it's not missing a certain amount that you saw the day before. And if you see it going down, then somebody taking that aside from not needing it. So we definitely need to be careful for that. So go ahead, Christian. This is a new slide that we've just added into our presentation that was actually taken off the DEA website. And these are now these kids, like I said, they're getting too smart for their own good. They're using emojis to send information as to what they want and what they need. So over here to the left, we have the Percocet and Oxycontin emojis here, which will be a pill form. And then the little blue circle is for the oxys, the P standing for Percocet. These are what we use for the Xanax one. It's still a pill form. And then over to the right, we have the Adderall. So for Adderalls, it has an A plus a train because they call taking Adderalls being on the A train, which is slang for being what the street term is called being on a sick one for the amphetamines. So they use that emoji there. And then on the bottom row after that, we have the dealer signals, right? We have the cash. You'll have the plug, which speaks for itself. So if you ever hear your kid talking about plug, that's the dealer. That's the guy who has the drugs. They call him the plug. So we want to look out for those emojis. High potency will show you a rocket, a bomb, and the exploding star to let you know that it's a high potency, that it's going to be some good stuff. I don't know why the universal emoji for drugs is the Canadian maple leaf. I don't know why that is, but according to the DEA, that's what they use. And then right next to that is the large batch, which is a cookie. So that means a higher amount or a bigger quantity over the usual personal amount. So we're talking ounces, pounds, quarter ounces, stuff like that. And then underneath there, we have the different emojis for the meth, which will be blue, ice, cold, because that's another nickname for methamphetamine is ice or windows. So you'll see those emojis there. Heroin will be a brown heart because heroin is either brown or black. And then you have the dragon because once you get hooked on heroin, you start chasing the dragon, as it's called. Cocaine, there's a bunch of them. You got the snowflake, you got the snowman, you got the snow, because cocaine is white. That's what it used to be called back in my day, snow, blow. And then you have the blue diamond, the 8-ball, because most quantities of cocaine purchased are in the 8-ball form. And then you have a key, which is a signal for cocaine because a key is usually used to snort the cocaine. And then I still don't know what that emoji is down there next to the smiley face. I don't know what that one is, but and then at the bottom, is it a fish? Oh, okay, so that makes sense. It's a fish. Fish scale cocaine is a high potency cocaine, that at least it was back in my day. So that's what that that's what that emoji would stand for, which is good. Yeah, blowfish. There you go. Thank you. So, and then underneath there, we have the MDMA and the mollies, which is the X, the candy, the red heart, the lightning bolt. The one next to that is the mushrooms, which is self-explanatory. Cough syrup, which I stated usually is purple, which is why it has that purple emoji. Oh, my light just went off. Purple. And then, of course, the marijuana would be the trees, the blowing smoke, and the 4-leaf clover. So give me 1 second, guys. I think everyone has left. I'm going to go back to my office real quick. But go ahead, Christian. And then over to the right, we see different pictures and stuff that are being used. All right. Cool. So then we have, the different ways to communicate, to show the amounts needed, different pictures and stuff like that. And you can also go on the DEA's website to look at this yourself to get a better look at what you need to be looking out for. So. All right, so these are our drug tests, or these are drug tests that you can actually buy here at that website down at the bottom. It's called meditest.com. Most tests either are 10 or 12 panel with fentanyl strips already in them. I highly recommend purchasing some of these and testing your child if you have a suspicion that they are using, or if they've been caught using already and you want to be vigilant about that. That's definitely something that I highly recommend. Because and then what we want to do is when you are testing your child, you want to be in the room, because nowadays, well, it's been like that since my day as well, but you can buy drinks that you can ingest like a couple hours before you have to take the test, which will dilute the test. You can buy fake urine as well, and if you're not watching your child test, there's so many ways that they can beat the test. And then, like I said, you want to go ahead and purchase those from that website. And if for any reason that you guys do that, you can connect with us or reach out to Redwood Toxicology Labs and have the test sent out to the lab to test for deeper substances, which is what we do on a weekly basis, because the test in the cup may show negative all the way across the board, but I always send out my tests so that I get a deeper analysis, because sometimes, like I said, these kids will try and dilute it. They'll use water, they'll use Clorox, they'll do whatever it takes to try and pass this test. So you definitely want to be in the room, while they are taking the UA. So, all right, Christian, go ahead. All right, so here are some red flags that we want to look out for that may determine your child is beginning to use drugs, which would be a change in behavior, attitude, always grumpy, always moody, things of that nature, change in sleeping habits, especially if they're going to be using the Adderalls or the amphetamines or anything of that nature, a stimulant. They will definitely change their sleeping patterns, change in their friend group. If they start hanging around sketchy kids, different kids that they would normally hang around with, if you see them start changing that's also a sign. They lose interest in things that they once enjoyed. I know for the most of the kids here at my facility, a lot of them were in sports, a lot of them were like in art or band or any of those type of activities, and all of a sudden they quit. They don't want to do it anymore. If they isolate, that's a big one. Self-isolation is huge. That's a definite red flag that something is going on with your child. Emotionally disconnected, anger, all of those are red flags. Now, I know a lot of kids are like that anyway, but I think if we are keeping an eye on them and we see a big change in their behavior, we would definitely want to look into what is causing that. So. Ways that you can help. Basically, these are just ways that you can help your child try and get through whatever it is you're going through. Communicate and let them lead the conversation. Try to make yourself available on their time. You don't want to force anything on your child. You want to ask questions about their interests. I think the biggest thing is just listening to them, letting them talk to you. You want to work as a team with you and your significant other. If there is a significant other, validate their feelings and their concerns, right? You don't want to shame them. You don't want to talk to them negatively. You really want to listen to them. And I can guarantee you that if you do that, they will open up to you and they will begin to tell you what is happening. Of course, if you suspect the use of drugs and other substances, you definitely want to drug test them, confiscate them. And at the end of the day, if all else fails, you can seek professional help, such as a psychiatrist, a school therapist, or reach out to us at Insight Treatment Program, because that's what we do. So definitely want to be able to do that and just give your child an opportunity to come to you and be able to confide in you without feeling like they're going to be condemned. That's a huge one. I think that's all we got, huh? Christian, go ahead and take over.
Yeah, thank you, Elton. This time we'll go ahead and open the floor for any questions you guys might have. We're here to answer anything of that nature. Here's our admission line if you want to give us a call as well and follow up with us. We'd be happy to speak with you. If there's any questions, then you can go ahead and type it in the chat or unmute yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Paloma, you're welcome.
And I'll just go back and I'll go ahead and show the other website that we had mentioned, which is Meditest, where you can purchase drug tests for testing your teen. Again, these are a great way to verify that what they're saying is true. We have many different options here. Again, it's just a great way to make sure that everything is going right. Here's the other website. Okay, Elton, so we do have a question. It's what's the best way to get rid of an old prescription drug that you want to get out of the house?
So what I recommend doing for that, depending on how many there are, but usually the best way is to flush them. So what I recommend doing is, if they're pills, you want to crush them so they become a powder so that they dissolve faster in the water when you flush them down the toilet. And then that's the best way to do it. You don't want to throw them in the trash. You don't want to do anything else because they're still accessible. So you want or you can use I don't have anything to show you, but
well, Elton, can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
If sometimes at your pharmacies, at your smaller local pharmacies, they actually have an old pill dispersing place where you can actually put your old prescriptions. So there's like a little box and you can just put your prescriptions in there. Sometimes Kaiser and some of the bigger health organizations have sort of like a yearly get rid of your pills, but we really don't want to wait that long.
Right.
The key is if you have cough syrup, lots of times you buy it at Costco and then you have so much of it left over and it's just sitting in your cabinet. You kind of if you're worried, you kind of don't want to have that medication hanging out.
Right.
So someone put in a really great resource there.
Yeah.
CVS Pharmacy has an easy. Yeah. So definitely if you have a lot or you're worried, local pharmacies, they usually have a drop off. This is a good question.
Do kids you work with get influenced by TikTok challenges? I work at a middle school and TikTok challenges are an issue. Yes. So being that we are an intensive outpatient, we have a few different rules here. I do random phone checks for my clients. I make sure that they are not looking at stuff like this, as far as with Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of that. It's a little difficult to monitor it 24/7, which is where I ask for the parents' help to do it. But for the most part, a lot of my kids here aren't allowed to even have social media because of that as well. And like I said, I do random phone checks at least, depending on the kid and the severity of what they're here for. I do it at least once or twice a week, but it is a little difficult. And that was one of the things that I mentioned earlier is these TikTok challenges, the Snapchat stories, because they erase. They're only up for a certain amount of time, so they send each other like photo messages. So it's really hard, with these kids nowadays. But yes, it's a little tough. But like I said, I regulate that here. We collect phones at the beginning of group and while we're in group. If I have, while I have their phones, if I have to check them, I do. So the other question is, when you do random phone checks, what are you looking for? Text, social media, DM? Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Text messages, DMs. A lot of these kids, I hate to sound this way, but a lot of these kids think they're smart criminals, and the one thing that they don't do is delete messages. And that's how I just had a big blow up here about a month ago where I had 5 kids involved, and the one kid didn't delete the messages, and boom, everyone got busted. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for: DMs, text messages, and the coded messages too, right? Discord is another site that these kids use for their little group chats and stuff. But yeah, we definitely look out for that. And then again, being that we're the intensive outpatient, we have different rules. So depending on the kids and if they were involved in a certain thing, we put them on restriction, which means they can't have any contact at all. So I'm looking for that as well, to see if they are contacting each other outside of group. And then, we consequence them if they're doing that. So.
Can I answer that one question about random drug testing?
Yes, go ahead.
And then Elton and Christian, you please chime in.
Right.
I think it's important to have open communication with your teenager. You don't want to just say, I suspect something and random drug test you, because then the trust is gone. I think it's more important to sit down and say, hey, we just went into this workshop and it blew my mind about all the things that are out there now. How are you doing? I feel like right now at this age, we are preparing them for adulthood. And it's so important to communicate with them, have an open communication with them. If you are suspicious and they're shutting down, then there's a problem, and you might want to seek professional help.
Yeah.
But if they can sit down with you and have a talk about what happens at the parties, and I don't know if you necessarily need to drug test them.
Yeah, I agree.
And Chaminade does do random drug testing, by the way.
That's what I did here, and I'm so thankful for you guys to do that. Now, I just recommend highly what was just said as well. But I grew up in a household with both parents, but they worked their butts off to provide for me, and I still chose the street life as a teenager. And my thing is, if I was tested more or had this type of open communication, or even had a facility like Insight back when I was 15, 16-year-old, I'm not saying anything would have changed necessarily, but we don't know. And I just wish we had this type of information back when I was beginning to dabble with drugs and the streets and stuff like that. But yeah, open communication. If you start talking to them, my biggest thing is once they start getting angry or denying or any of that nature,
or defensive.
Defensive. I've always it's been proven time and time again that they're hiding something. There's a reason why they're being defensive. If you have nothing to hide, you can have a normal civilized conversation without getting defensive. But just talk to them about it. Just be like, hey, we're not suspecting you of anything. We just want to be safe. Things of that nature. But again, I think for most kids, especially here that we see, it's usually months in of them being in treatment, that we find out that they have dabbled, haven't told their parents anything, and because their parents don't suspect them is why they begin to do them. So, you know, I definitely think at least once in a while, it wouldn't hurt to test them, but again, have that open communication. And then there's a question for you guys down here. I don't know that question, that answer. How often does Chaminade carry out random drug testing?
Laura, do you have I don't know exactly. I don't know.
Well, it's random, so we don't have we don't have a schedule or like anything like that.
It is really
So
random.
It's truly random. And you know, we have the drug dogs on campus, but that's all just, you know, truly random on purpose.
We don't even know when they drug test. We're not even aware of it as counselors, but maybe I would say maybe once a month or every other month, I feel like maybe.
Yeah, something like that. And the kids are very aware, you know, the community is very aware of that. And it happens at all of our school events and as well. So we're trying.
That's beautiful. My hat's off to you guys for doing that, because that's huge. You know, just so that everyone's aware of it and knowing what's going on, and the fact that it is random. So, because you know, I get it here, like, oh, you're singling me out, you just picked me. Like, no, it's
they use an actually randomized computer program to pick the students. Can I ask you a little bit about the artificial urine or the diluting? Because I feel that that is something that maybe for certainly me, I don't know a lot about that. Like, where do you get that, and what's that consist of? And
well,
you know,
so if these kids really want to try and pass these drug tests, there's ways of going about it without trying to sound offensive. There's a thing that's been around since I was a kid, that probably still around now. It's called the Whizzinator, is what it's called.
the Whizzinator.
The Whizzinator is what it's called. And it's something to where you actually, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but again, if these kids are trying to pass these tests, they would do it. You know, it's something that you tie around your private area, so that when you go to the restroom, instead of, mainly for, well, I guess for women as well, but yeah, it's like a tube. It has a tube. There's like a bag that you tape or tie to your leg. And then you know, when you're giving the effect of going to the restroom, it's actually the tube that's going into the UA, and it'll pass as a clean drug test.
Oh my gosh, that sounds very complicated, but okay.
It is. But, again, I haven't really heard of it too much in the school setting. I know when I was growing up, a lot of people were using that to get out of, you know, court or
I see.
DCF.
How do you dilute a test? How is a test diluted?
Water can go in there. Again, back in my day, they weren't as strict, but you could put you could dip your finger in chlorine or bleach, right? And even if it's dry, you know, it'll still have the chemicals on there. So once you're done with the test, as you're closing the cap, let me get one here. So as you're closing the cap, I don't have it, but here's one that I need to send out. As you're closing the cap, you would put your finger in it. I mean, it's gross, but it's a way to pass the test. You put your finger in it so that the chlorine and the bleach would get off your finger and go into the test. That's one way. Water, or you can drink that. Back in my day, it was called Golden Seal. I don't. And all of this, the craziness is, all of this can be purchased at any smoke shop. Any smoke shop that sells nicotine products, bongs, pipes, whatever, they sell actual products to beat these drug tests, which is horrible. But you can drink a lot of water as well. And that's why I think it's very important to send the tests out, because even with the test negative all across the board, and I send it out, it'll come back and tell me if it's been diluted, if their creatine levels are even off, which means that they've drank a ton load of water before they took the test. And then that gives me the red flag to UA them immediately following, so that they don't get the chance to dilute it again. So.
And can some of these things also be purchased online, just really accessible for students?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or again, the Snapchat thing, that's the biggest one. They have these stories or their personal messages. Whoever the plug is will have this at their disposal as well. And all it takes is, it takes just to be asked for a way to beat the test, and they can have it nowadays. They can have it delivered to their house or stashed somewhere. And with these kids nowadays, with the credit cards or the PayPal and the Zells and different ways of Venmo or Cash App, they can just send the money and have the dealer or the plug have it delivered to their house and put it in an Amazon box and pretend it's something else. So it's I always tell this story to all my kids, even my own children. Like, I'm so glad I didn't have social media back in my day, or it would have been a whole lot worse, So you need to be just very vigilant on these kids, and like I said, I wish my parents would have been a little bit more like that with me. Check their room, check their possessions, just have the conversation with them that it's for their own benefit, but you definitely want to be on top of them. And you don't want to fully be like a helicopter parent, but you do want to be vigilant enough just to keep them safe, because a lot of things go down in schools that we are not even aware of. So
yeah, definitely.
And I think just coming at it from that approach, right? Like, I care about you. There's all these things out there. I'm concerned about you, and just kind of go from that approach, so it's not accusatory, or you can kind of get rid of any of those maybe defensive feelings, but just come at it from, I care about you and I'm worried, and let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Hopefully
So
we have a really good question in the chat, because I think that's pretty much what's happening right now.
That is a great question, and I get that a lot, right? And it is unfortunate that nowadays it is legal. It's these dispensaries are popping up like liquor stores. But my main argument for that is alcohol's legal doesn't make it right. Just because weed's legal doesn't make it right.
It's still a drug.
It's still a drug. In my opinion, it's the gateway drug. That's just how I feel. That's what got me hooked when I was 12, and it is very addictive. And I just use my story as a guide for my kids here. But you can ask them certain questions like, okay, if it's not addictive, show me that it's not addictive and quit. And I can guarantee you that any of the kids will be like, well, because I've heard it and I've said it many times back in my day, I could quit whenever I want. But the honest truth is I couldn't quit anytime I wanted to. And you can come in. All right. You parked in the front? Yeah. Okay, bye. And just tell them that, like, okay, if that's the case, prove it to me, and quit. And I can guarantee you that they go. I know adults now that if they don't have their marijuana at the beginning of their day, they are grumpy, they are mad, they're agitated. So that's one thing as well. But can
I say one of the things I say, Elton, is like, the marijuana that they're buying at the dispensaries is not the marijuana of the hippies in the 60s.
No.
So I talk about potency. Potency when marijuana first came out, and now it is a business, and they want to keep you hooked.
Yes.
And so sometimes when I talk to students, I say, what do you think the potency is now? What do you think it was 20 years ago? What do you think it was 30 years ago? I said, why do you think they want to keep you hooked? Because it's a business, and it's a big business.
It's $1 billion business, and it's
so huge. If you don't think it's physically and emotionally addicting, then you're not thinking about what the business is all about. The business is about keeping their customers.
Right.
So I kind of try to have that conversation with them. Like, this is not a hippie drug anymore, folks. This is a business.
Yeah.
And I talk about the emotional addiction. Because, you hear a lot of information about, it's not physically addicting. It's not physically. Okay, well, guess what? It's emotionally addicting.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes I feel like they can understand that. Why are you using it? When are you using it? When do you need it?
Right.
You need it to go to sleep every night is a problem.
Absolutely.
You're using it to consistently deal with your anxiety. We have a problem.
Right.
So sometimes they hear that.
Another great thing to mention is also, you know, these kids are still developing, right? And so, you know, their brains are, if they are using, you know, they're getting rewired. And so it's definitely easier for them to get addicted. And I think that's worth mentioning to them, that, you know, they're still developing, and in order for them to reach their full potential, then let's not, you know, ingest anything that could be damaging or have negative effects that you might not see now, but in the future, definitely, you know, as Elton mentioned, it does lead to other things, and it's very addicting.
I totally agree. And that was a great point, is the potency, because of even with me being that I only have 5 years clean. So even 5 years ago, the difference between what's out now and what was out back then is huge.
Genetically enhanced.
Absolutely. And
I'm sorry, Ellen.
No, I was just gonna say that's the main thing. The other thing that I always say is, because they say they need it for anxiety, the medical benefits and all that, you know, I joke with them, but I'm 100% honest with them. I'm like, okay, well, what are you suffering from right now? What ailment do you have? You don't, I mean, and this is for most kids, you don't have cancer, you don't have cerebral palsy, you don't have, you know, you don't
Tourette's, or, you know, some sort of seizure disorder.
Anything that we see it being effective for in adults, you don't have any of that. So that just proves to me that you're just using it to get high. So again, if you feel that it's not addictive, quit whenever you can, and we'll see if that makes a difference. But once they're on it, it's super difficult to quit. So, but yeah, I feel it's a gateway drug, 100%.
Well, and it's such a social thing, you know, which I think that's what a lot of the parents are here for, you know, is because it's so easy to get. It's such a social thing. And then it's legal for adults. So it's just a big, you know, storm of convenience and addiction. And it's just, I mean, my kids are little, but I'm like taking this all in. I'm like, it's blowing my mind.
Yeah. And not only that, so I really quickly, I have a part-time job, right? That in the mornings I work at a DUI school. So I'm a counselor at a DUI program. And majority of these kids that are coming in their 20s, aren't even there for DUIs with alcohol. They're there for DUIs because they got caught smoking weed with driving. So there's still those legal repercussions of it, right? People think that you know, and every time I drive, I'll smell it. I'm like, man, only if they know, they get pulled over. If the cop really wanted to, they can get their car towed. They can get their license suspended for a year. I mean, it's the same repercussions as if you were driving under the influence of alcohol. So they need to be aware of that as well. You can't drive and smoke, you know, and not have that happen to you. So it's definitely something that they need to be aware of as well.
We have a good question in the chat.
Yeah, what are the most common drugs that teens get sent to inpatient treatment for? Well, a lot of them are here for marijuana, but a lot of them are also here for pills. A lot of them take the Xanax and the Oxycontins, a lot of the opioids, and the hallucinogens as well. Acid, LSD, that's a big one as well. That that a lot of kids that I've come across in my program that have dabbled in, especially if these kids are into arts or music of some sort. They want to, you know, trip, as they call it, and so. For the most part, it's those three. Very rare that we'll have anything stronger than that. Thankfully, these kids aren't exposed to the heroin and the meth and the crack and the cocaine. But for the most part, it's the pills, weed, and
prescription drugs. I've heard, Elton. Yeah,
it's huge.
That actually leads into a really good, Laura, maybe you can talk about, because the next chat is our kids receiving this presentation. So I'm just at the moment, no, but I mean, I think it is a great presentation. And so it's definitely something that we can work towards and work on.
Yeah, right now, this is just, you know, we're very fortunate to have this as a presentation for all you parents, but yeah, just to, like Catherine said, it's something we can definitely work on in terms of providing more information. We are partnering with Insight this semester, so we will be having them, you know, as a presence on our campus to talk to students. So it won't be the same presentation, but it will be a really eye-opening opportunity for, you know, their their alumni, their students to talk to our students. So that's going to be coming very soon this spring.
Yeah,
We've had a long partnership with Insight. They've been a great support for us and for Chaminade.
What were you gonna say, Christian?
I was just gonna mention those teen speaker panels. Again, a great way for alumni of our program, as well as current clients who are close to graduating, who are doing really well, really showing progress in treatment and have been sober for a very long time. Come in and speak on their experiences with mental health and substance abuse, traumas, things like that, and really encourage the students to seek help if they need it, right? And open that discussion for mental health. A lot of the times, the kids are either scared to bring it up or feel that they might be stigmatized by bringing it up, but by us having our teens show how vulnerable they are in front of the other teens, and it's a great way for them to really empower them and encourage them again to speak up and start this conversation, which is definitely the way things are going.
Yeah. And then worst case scenario, I can do a different type of presentation and just tell them my story and that'll hopefully put it all into perspective for them. I got over 30 years of story to tell, which is another presentation that we normally do as well. And yeah, I just tell them how it all began for me and where it took me and where I'm at now. And usually that helps as well. So.
Well, maybe you can come to Chaminade, Elton.
Yeah,
you can
that'd
ask
be
Christian
awesome,
for our
Elton.
dates, and you can
Yeah.
come.
I would love it. I mean, I live in Encino, so you guys are like my neighbors.
Oh, perfect.
All right, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
I'll be talking to you later, Elton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here, so yeah.
Well, I just want to really thank Christian and Elton for giving us their time on a Thursday night and being able to give us this insightful presentation, and it'll help us keep an eye out for what's happening with your kids, with our kids. The emojis were fantastic.
Yeah.
That's something that was
Wow.
just added too. I was like, whoa, I totally had even spaced out on the emojis. So
Yeah, oh my gosh.
you told me that it was added to it. I'm like, beautiful. Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So
and,
if there aren't...
and thank you, parents, for all showing
Yeah.
up tonight and caring about your kids. And we'll make the recording available to friends of yours that may not have made it tonight. And thank you for all your support.
And just so you know, this is we're starting this parent workshop series. So every month we're trying to have a presenter. So please spread the word. Mm-hmm. The more people we can get to attend these meetings would just be really helpful and beneficial. So keep an eye out for the CTWs and emails from Mrs. Cuneo about more informational workshops that we're going to be having for you all. Okay.
Well, you're welcome to all the thank yous that are in the chat. We really appreciate you allowing us to do this presentation. I look forward to these, so I'm always willing to come back. So whenever you guys want.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Insight.
All right.
Thank you, Insight.
Thank you.
I'll share the recording with you guys, and we'll keep in touch.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, Christian.
Bye.